Hey, it's Pastor David. I'm here today to talk about our Northern Ireland pilgrimage. A week from this Sunday, July 21st, I'll be leading a group of 12 folks from our church on our Northern Ireland pilgrimage 2024. We'll be flying into Dublin, where we'll bus up to Belfast. We'll stay in downtown Belfast for the week until we fly home the following Sunday. The only exception will be on that Saturday when we will travel over to see St. Patrick's grave. During the day, from breakfast until dinner, we will be sitting down in lectures and in discussions and in Bible study. Primarily, we'll be talking about the Troubles and the lessons learned from the Troubles in Northern Ireland. And we'll have the opportunity to meet with experts, folks that were involved, from ministers who were involved during the Troubles on the peace lines, to a woman who was in charge of compensation of victims, to a woman who was involved with police reform, to the mayor of Belfast. We'll meet with a gentleman whose wife was killed in an IRA bombing, and a mother whose son was stabbed by Protestants youth in that time of the Troubles. So it's really an intensive time of listening and of learning, of sharing and discussing. That's why we're calling it a pilgrimage. We're not going as tourists. We're not going to see all the sites. We're not traveling around the country, going to this or that. We will certainly see things as they relate to our conversation and our processing, but they won't be the things that you normally would go to. What's the difference between a tourist and a pilgrim? Well, tourists go to receive something, to look at something, to get something, to have an experience. Pilgrims go to be present and to be available to God's Spirit. We're not going as missionaries, not going to proselytize or to build something. We're going as pilgrims to be present and to listen for God's Spirit in that place. Why do we go away to be pilgrims? We're certainly pilgrims every day in life. Sometimes it's easier when we get out of our own context, when we get away from the rush and bustle and texts and noise of every day, of the demands of life. When we get outside our comfort zone, we're better able to hear and better able to be present. Why Northern Ireland? Well, because of its recent history with the Troubles, its toxic rhetoric, its sectarianism and polarization of society, its civil war, and all the lessons learned there, much like in our own country in the mid to late 19th century, before the Civil War, the toxic rhetoric and the polarization around slavery and civil war. And dare I say it, much like things that we are seeing in our society today, in our culture today, with extreme polarization and separation and language even about civil war and certainly toxic rhetoric. There's a lot in Northern Ireland that rings the bell of warning for what we're going through in our own country. So who is going? What's the goal? Well, my goal is to build a core of folks in our church who are interested in learning and listening, but even more doing something to be the light of Christ in this community and in this time, particularly of great division, politically, racially, economically, around gender issues. We are finding ourselves in a place where it's harder and harder to have real conversation because we don't live in community with each other. And we're finding ourselves in a place where it's easier to define ourselves by who we're against than what we stand for. And that's not at all what the body of Christ is supposed to be. In fact, this Sunday, we're going to be talking about unity in the body, teamwork, and going along with our sermon series, and how we are a reflection, we are a reflection of Christ in our culture. I'm choosing people to go who are involved in groups, in small groups, folks that are in relationship and community weekly already, because it allows them to get a running start on some of those difficult conversations, to already know each other and have some semblance of trust, to have some hard questions asked. And so I look for people who are already in community and are interested in being in that type of work. How's it paid for? Well, not $1 from the offering plate is used to pay for this. I raise the money. The Marcy Trust has been very gracious. The Marcy does not belong to the church. We have to apply for funding. And so I do not use our church budget to pay for these pilgrimages, but raise that money separately. I know that there are folks that would like to go, and we continue to look to take people. One of the things that we're doing in the church, just as an aside, is we have started doing one-day pilgrimages to St. Augustine, Florida. Martin Luther King Jr. called St. Augustine the most racist city in America. You may remember Andrew Young was beaten in the streets of St. Augustine. There was a story, a real story. What happened in the Hilton in St. Augustine was a different motel time where the owner dumped acid in the pool to keep people have color in their skin out of the pool. Just a terrible, tragic story and history in that place. And we go over and we listen and learn and take a day to discuss. And if you're interested in the St. Augustine trip, please contact me. I'd love to get you involved. We've filled out our cohort for October. We're beginning to look for a new round at the beginning of the year. And so we'd love to contact you with that. I believe that we are called to be the salt and light in this world, to make a difference, to stand out. I believe that people look at the church, and one of the reasons that they've looked at the church askew is that we do not project unity in the body. Even though disagreement, unity does not mean uniformity. But somehow we've got to find a way to be united, even though we're diverse. And so this is what this pilgrimage is all about. I ask for your prayers. I ask for your prayers for the people that are going. I ask selfishly for your prayers for some comfort with this whole wing thing going on my arm. And look forward to sharing with you all that God brings as we're away in Northern Ireland a week from Sunday. Take care and God bless.